A question we get a lot is, can you use my friend to be the plumber on my house? Or I know a guy from church who's a painter. Can I use him on my house? We get that question a lot, and I know you're asking it. I want to get to the answer. Is it a bad idea? Let's begin by looking at some of the common reasons you might want to use your own subcontractor. We call our subcontractors trade partners because that's in fact what they are. They're trades that we work with, and they are longtime partners of our company. But what are some of the reasons that you might be wanting to use your own? One might be that you think that your friend is going to be able to cut you a deal. Another reason might be that you want to involve your friends or family in the project. A couple more reasons might be you've worked with this company previously, had a really good experience, or you've heard great things about them. And finally, they're surprisingly inexpensive. So let's look at each of those one at a time and talk about them. First of all, I'm friends with the owners, so they'll give me a discount. Do you really want to do this to your friends? I've heard a great quote that real friends pay full price and leave a referral. Do you want to put your friend in the situation of having to work for you at a reduced rate while you still expect the same service? How is he going to respond when he needs to jump on your project, yet there's very little profit in it for him when he has 10 other projects paying full price? The contractor is surprisingly inexpensive. Is the goal of the project to build it as cheaply as possible? Or is the goal of your project to build a long-term home that you can pass down to your kids and they can pass down to their kids? Because good and cheap are not compatible. It's kind of like putting a Kia engine in a Ferrari. It just doesn't work. You can't have both. So what is the goal of the project? Is it to be cheap or is it to be good? Businesses are usually cheap for a reason. It might be that they're not paying their taxes or they're inadequately insured. It could be that they're on the verge of bankruptcy. I actually know of several instances where businesses ran off with clients' deposits, went out of business, and left them hanging. Another reason you might be thinking about using someone you know to help build your home is that they might let you work on it. And I get it. It's fun to work on your own project, and you don't really have the time or the tools or the talents to do the whole thing, so maybe this is a great solution. But there are some practical drawbacks to it. It leads to a lot of finger pointing when things don't go quite right. For instance, if you were helping with the electrical and there ends up being a short or even a fire, who's responsible? What happens when you call the electrician and says, hey, you did it wrong, and he says, no, I thought you were doing that? So there are some practical drawbacks to splitting responsibilities with people. Maybe you've heard others speak well of them. They have a really great reputation. And that may very well be true, but did you know that in construction, there are specialties for commercial construction or for residential? For industrial, for schools, each of these different fields is a different niche that companies can be centered around or not. And when you get even beyond that, companies are centered on either service work or new construction. I remember the first time I learned this, it was actually on the first home that we built. And we hired a contractor who just didn't perform well. But it's because they were a service contractor. Service contractors are easy to find. They advertise like crazy and they answer the phone. A lot of new construction contractors don't advertise much and they aren't so great at returning calls. So it's easy to find a service guy. So we found a service guy, we called them, and their performance was less than stellar. They'd have one guy at a time, maybe 2 days a week, and he didn't know how to do the rough installation because they were only geared up to do replacements. They didn't know how to put the stuff in behind the walls. So on a second project, We tried again with a different contractor, but again, we went with a service-oriented contractor, had a similar experience. So you want to find a contractor that's set up for exactly what you do or what you're going to do on this house. New construction in residential with a specialty on energy efficiency and sustainability. Just because someone has a great reputation doesn't make them the right fit for your home. But it might be that your brother-in-law has a very well-established business, in which case he probably has plenty of work and might take this project as a favor to you. Meanwhile, it's not really his niche. Maybe you're just better off throwing him a few $100s and both of you end up happy. One caution about bringing your own trades to the table, and that is that you own the result. So my brother and sister-in-law had a great business idea, or it seemed like a great idea. They were going to grow small batch barley, and the goal was to make malt for the craft beer industry. The thought is, well, we live in Beer City, USA. There's all these craft breweries. They've got to want a really high quality malt. So they spent years selling and found there just wasn't a market. What these craft breweries valued more than anything was consistency. They didn't want small batch on their malt. They wanted consistency, the same year after year. They wanted high volume. You wouldn't go to a brewery and bring your own hops and then be disappointed with the way it tasted compared to all their other beers, would you? It's a similar thing when you insist on bringing your own trade partner. It throws a wrench in the system and you own the result. But when the builder uses his system with his trade partners, his specifications, he owns the result. He stands behind the warranty. He makes sure it's right. Specialization. Similar to a sports team, custom home builders spend a lot of time curating their team of trade professionals. We coach them to help them get better. We get rid of the weak ones and we bring on new players that have strengths that we need. And that's all geared around what we do. Different builders have different specialties. One builder might specialize in the fastest home, another builder might specialize in the cheapest home. We specialize in net zero homes and healthy homes. And so our group of trade partners are curated for that specific purpose. Not only that, but in West Michigan, we have the option of a lot of trade partners to choose from. And we can pick the ones that are best for your specific home, for the needs that it has. Cost stability. Everyone has a budget. Whether your budget is $500,000 or $5 million, you still have a budget and you want to know what your home is going to cost. You need that predictability so that you can plan. Our trade partners are used to working with each other. They know what to expect not only from us, but from each other. They know what the job site will look like when they arrive, whether they'll have any things to move out of the way in order to do their work, whether the plumber put a pipe right where they need to have a duct, and so on. And after working with each other for years, these guys are good at what they do, and they're good at making it ready for the person after them. Rarely do we hear something like, "I wasn't expecting that," or "You said it was going to be different." Translation means, "I'm going to charge you more." But by working with people for a long time, we don't have that. They know what to expect from us. That's how a team that knows one another brings price stability to your project. The next item we're going to get into is schedule predictability or stability. The point here is very similar to on cost, but with schedule, when we get delayed a couple of days, it has a giant domino or snowball effect. If I have to push off the HVAC guy 2 days, then that means I have to call up the plumber and push him back. But he might say, well, then I have to fit another job in ahead of you, and so I'm going to be 2 weeks. So schedules can easily snowball out of control. But when everybody knows what to expect from each other, that schedule can be predictable and stable. With a new trade partner, we don't know what to expect. We don't know how often they're actually later than what they say or earlier than what they say. Predictability is key here. High quality is another reason to work with your builder's group of trade partners. These trade partners have been trained in ICF homes and in airtight homes, which have an entirely different sequence of operations than normal, but also different materials that are worked with. Quality is higher and mistakes are fewer when everyone on the team is trained in the details of a high-performance home. A better warranty experience. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but when everyone has a clearly defined scope of work, there is no finger pointing. It's clear who is responsible for what. And it's also clear when we call somebody and ask them to come and fix it that they need to do it. And they will, because we have worked with them a long time and we built up a trust and a rapport. No hard feelings. This gets into the warranty thing again. And I might seem like I keep harping on this, but really the warranty is a part of the home that makes you feel like you got what you paid for or you got gypped. No hard feelings. When you bring in a friend to do a portion of your work who probably cut you a discount, but then 6 months after he's done, you've got a problem with his work. Now you face a little bit of conundrum. Do I call the builder and have him get my friend out there? I kind of feel bad saying anything like that about my friend's work, or maybe your friend would really feel like you're putting the screws to him to get him out there to fix something when he already worked on it at a discounted rate. By working with your builder's trade partners, there's no hard feelings. Teamwork. Let's face it, you don't have the time to build multiple homes, to try out multiple trade partners, vet them, train them, and coach them. But your builder does. He's built a high-performance team to deliver on his one big promise, whatever that promise is. With us, it's net zero homes. With someone else, it might be custom details. But your builder has a team of trade partners that are awesome at what they do. So the answer you've been waiting for, can I bring my own trade partners to the job? In short, the answer is no. It's not a good idea. Given all that we've said, if you've really thought about it and you still think it's worth it, you're absolutely able to bring that up to us and we will consider it. But the final decision would be ours because we're responsible for the outcome of your project and we want the best results for you.